And hello, one and all, and welcome to my first annual WWE Year in Review Awards video. Today I have two special guests with me. My friend Josh Cecilia. Josh, say hi.
Yo.
And my friend Mike Ruggiero. Mike, say hi.
Yo, what's up?
Okay, and we are here today to give our picks for the overall year for WWE, our thoughts on it, and we have 17 different categories that we're going to go through, and we're going to give our opinions on who we thought won these various categories. Now, this is all our opinions. If you feel free to disagree, comment down below in the comments section. We would like to know who you thought would win these categories in your opinion. So, with that out of the way, we're going to get started with the awards. And our first category is Wrestler of the Year. Now, there were many talented guys in WWE on the main roster. Sadly, a lot of them are hurt right now. But in my opinion, for Wrestler of the Year, there was no one better than the man himself, Seth Rollins. That's my pick for Wrestler of the Year. I felt, he had Mr. Money in the Bank. He went into WrestleMania. He cashed in at the main event of WrestleMania and won the WWE World Heavyweight title, left the biggest impact. Yeah, his title reign wasn't the best, but he was having some of the best matches of his career. I felt like he was the workhorse for WWE up until he got injured and was really carrying, Raw. And it's not his fault that he had to go out there and deliver the same promo over and over again. That's just what he's scripted to do. But in my opinion, the man, Seth Rollins, is Wrestler of the Year. And we're going to go to Josh for his pick for Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah, I also voted Seth because, he had a great year and he won the title.
He did.
No one else thought he would do it. And you can't take it away from him.
And at WrestleMania, think about that. The first ever.
Yeah. And
that's the last thing you see on that show, him holding it up.
You can't take away his year just because he got hurt and he's not the champion anymore. So
that's not his fault he got injured.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I vote Seth Rollins.
He deserved it. He definitely did. We miss him.
We do,
Mike,
definitely.
Who's your pick for Wrestler?
I actually also went with Seth Rollins.
A complete sweep. Go ahead, explain.
Yep. Well, because again, I felt that he was the star that was probably built the most out of all the guys on the main roster. Specifically from the Shield,
Reigns,
yes.
But
I mean, like you said before, too, he definitely didn't have the best title reign, but,
that's not his. That's how he was booked.
Right, yeah, but at the same time, the position he was in and him being the top heel of the company, I think, worked out.
He carried it.
Worked out perfectly, and I definitely think his injury has left a huge hole in the company right now that is having a hard time being filled, and unfortunately, Sheamus is not the person to be filling the top heel of the company.
No, and then we could go on all day about how that's a terrible decision, but
yes,
I agree with you guys. Complete sweep. Seth Rollins is our Wrestler of the Year, so that's category number 1. Category number 2 is Women's Wrestler of the Year. Now, unlike at the Slammy Awards, how they said Nikki Bella was Diva of the Year, this is the Women's Wrestler of the Year, because the term diva, it's going, and it's going to go eventually. So, I'm going to start with my pick. In my opinion, this was a tough one, because you have such talented, women's wrestlers. You have Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Paige, Natalia. It's just like, it's Asuka who debuted. So there were a lot of good picks. Emma, got to throw her out there. But in my opinion, the Women's Wrestler of the Year is the boss, Sasha Banks. There was nobody better than her on NXT. She carried that NXT Women's Championship with pride and prestige, and made it one of the most important titles to watch on NXT. And Sasha's an incredible wrestler. And her and Bayley had one of the greatest matches that I've ever seen live at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. So for that alone, it's in my opinion, the boss, Sasha Banks, is the Women's Wrestler of the Year. Josh?
Well, in my opinion, I'm going with Charlotte.
Okay.
I like her.
Interesting.
At first, honestly, I didn't she sucked me into me being a fan of her.
Yeah.
And I just think she's awesome. Second generation.
I like Charlotte a lot. I feel like her promo work needs... When they give her this scripted, you could tell she's uncomfortable with it. It doesn't sound, a lot of... If they would let her go off the cuff, I feel like... That's what they did in NXT. She was a lot better on the mic because it was short, sweet, and to the point, and it wasn't as scripted, so... But yeah, she's a tremendous wrestler. Ric Flair's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
and I'll be interested to see where they go with her
Yeah, I want to see
with
that
this
too.
heel turn. So but that's a good pick. Definitely a good pick. Mike?
Well, I mean, for me, it's been a little bit hard because, I haven't seen as much NXT, but, from, like, Charlotte and Sasha, Banks, and all of them, I definitely see, like, in them that they are definitely...
They're hungry.
They're hungry for it. They're going to be Women's Wrestler of the Year. I will take out the term Divas also.
Please, yeah, I didn't even want to go there.
But as far as my pick... Since I've been focused more on the main roster, despite not winning any titles this year, I'm going with Paige.
Paige?
Because I think,
Paige.
you face, who else was on the main roster for women's wrestling that really, stood out besides, having to deal with Nikki Bella's crap
and
all
AJ
year.
left. So
And AJ left, yeah. And then Paige, face or heel, both ends of the angle since she's been up for 2 years, have both worked. And despite not winning any titles, she was still someone who still stood out to the fans. And everyone
fans love her. They want to love Paige.
Exactly. Just her character is just like right there, and it's just something that doesn't need to go away. And that WWE
she's awesome, and she's young. I think she's 23. She's got a lot of time left in the business.
Definitely, yes. Within the next year, she's definitely going to get at least. I see it get like 2 or 3 more title reigns. Definitely.
I would like to see her win the title eventually, but that's a good pick. Paige, Charlotte, and Sasha Banks. No Bella twins, so that makes me happy. So those are our...
Who'd you think I was going to say?
Nikki.
I thought you were going to say Nikki also.
And we could have had a 20-minute rant about that because don't even get me started.
Oh, yeah.
Memorable title reign, my ass. So, yeah, no offense if you like Nikki Bella or the Bellas. You're entitled to like them. So, moving on, we're going to our third category. We are going to pick our tag team of the year. And in my opinion, there has been no tag team that has, what's the word I'm looking for? Excelled as well as the New Day. The New Day are the highlight every week of Monday Night Raw. I love the New Day. They ever since that night after WrestleMania, I feel like that's where they really started to click. The crowd, they were saying New Day sucks, and they were really just transforming into this annoying heel group. And then eventually, they won the tag titles. And they're all 3 talented guys, Kofi, Big E, and Xavier, and they're just being themselves, and they're having fun, and they've really helped not revitalize the tag team division, but keep it going and make it enjoyable to watch. And with them still being champions, how can you not pick the New Day? I feel like they're the faces of the tag team division. So that's my pick for tag team of the year. We're going to go to Josh next for his pick.
Well, it may come as a surprise, but no other team gets more reaction from the crowd than my pick, and the pick is New Day. As though I'm not a huge fan of them.
Oh, come on. I thought you liked them.
They're fun.
They're fun. That's exactly it.
But I'm not, I don't know. I'm not a fan of New Day.
Okay, that's fine.
But
you don't have to be.
My pick is also New Day.
New Day rocks. Okay, 2 New Day rocks.
You can make it 3. New Day rocks.
We're in agreement.
Like there was no other tag team. I thought, well, if the Usos were still around, they probably would have got more of a push. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, they all...
they could have... Yeah,
Kidd,
that's a shame.
Kidd went down with the injury. They had a great push in line for them. But, the New Day was the team I felt was developed the most. And, they should have been the ones having the tag team titles around them, like, for most of the year. I mean,
I'm glad they still do.
Right. I mean, they had the short stint without them.
Keep it going.
Right. Without PTP having the titles for a couple
did have
months.
it,
At the time, I felt like they had the momentum going, but then when things started to slow down by
SummerSlam New Day was just that we were there. The crowd was that changed my opinion on New Day.
Yeah,
After that, I've been a fan ever since.
Exactly.
That night in Brooklyn, hot crowd for New Day. So yes, we are all in agreement with our tag team of the year for the New Day. So shout out to the New Day. We're going on to category number 4. Our pick for worst tag team of the year. My opinion, there has been no worse tag team than the Ascension. I felt like I was really excited, waiting for these guys to get called up from NXT to the main roster. They were the longest reigning tag team champions on NXT. They were forced to be reckoned with. Yeah, they weren't the best wrestlers in the world, but you know what? They had a good following. The crowd was behind them in NXT, and they were a joy to watch in the ring. However, when they got called up to the main roster, what did they do with them? It was a joke. They did absolutely nothing. First of all, they changed their look. Then they had them cut these terrible promos trying to be a Legion of Doom ripoff. And then they just had them lose, and now where are they? So, in my opinion, the Ascension are the worst tag team of the year.
Well, in my opinion, I would say the Los Matadores, because...
Terrible gimmick. They're good wrestlers, but it's the terrible gimmick. I mean, who could make that work? You know,
And
it's garbage.
Their tag team partner is
A bull,
3 foot tall dude.
Bull.
I mean, is this the 1980s? I mean, come on, that would work back.
It's just really stupid to me.
It's kiddie, and
Got no pop.
I don't even think kids would like it.
It got really no pop at all to it.
Well, thank God they took them off TV, and hopefully they just have them be Epico and Primo.
I would be open to that. Have them be singles.
Well, no, they were a good tag team, and then they put this stupid. Just let them be themselves. Why do they have to be low smash? The hell?
You know, they've been off TV for a while because the rumors, however, they are trying to give them a new gimmick, which hopefully will work out better than LA.
Remains to be seen. So that's Josh's pick, Los Matadors, for worst tag team of the year. We're going to go to Mike now.
I'm actually going to have to agree with you on this one, Dan. I actually also picked the Ascension also. You know,
Big disappointment.
You know, everything you told me about, you know, NXT at the beginning of the year and then with the Ascension, and then I saw them, you know, make their debut against, I think it was Mizdow. Yeah, I remember.
They won.
And, you know, they looked like
okay.
This dangerous, unstoppable team. It could be like, you know, top heels, like maybe aligned with the Authority, like or something.
They could be their,
like
you know, lackeys.
Right.
Something.
You know, beginning you had them feud with the New Age Outlaws at the Rumble.
They won, okay.
Right, and I thought you'd have to get the push, and by WrestleMania, then be in a tag team title run.
Sure.
But
after that,
they just didn't even try. It had them fighting local athletes, which those were just worthless fights. Like, you know, put them up against, you know, more like another legendary
established teams,
right, or another
like
legendary
Usos, Cesaro and Kidd at that time.
Right, exactly, and they just didn't do anything with them. And now, I mean, I'm hoping they go somewhere with this Cosmic Wasteland.
I completely forgot about that.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
it could be good,
right?
Like
exactly,
but they don't get behind it and they just forget about it.
Right,
that's the problem.
Exactly.
So I agree. Ascension, big disappointment, and that's on the booking. Once again, I don't, you know, they're just doing what they're told. So, I feel bad for Connor and Victor. So yeah, with that, we're going to go to our next category. We are going to go to category number 5, pay-per-view of the year. Now, there were a lot of good shows. You know, NXT had fantastic takeover specials, and WWE had some good, you know, pay-per-view specials this year. In my opinion, this was a tough pick. Came down to a couple pay-per-views, but for me, I'm going to go to the show that I was there live for, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Fantastic show from top to bottom. One of the best pay-per-views I've seen in a long, long time. Hot Brooklyn crowd from start to finish. Packed 15,000 people. You had that awesome double main event, you know, Bayley versus Sasha Banks. One of the greatest matches I've ever seen live. Incredible. You get goosebumps thinking about it. You had Apollo Crews debuting on that show. You had Tyler Breeze taking on Jushin Thunder Liger in a very good match. You had Joe versus Baron Corbin, which was a hard-hitting match. And then you had the main event of Finn Balor taking on Kevin Owens in that awesome ladder match. So all in all, great show from start to finish. Not a bad match. So I'm picking NXT TakeOver Brooklyn for my pay-per-view of the year.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. Even though I wasn't there live.
You watched it.
I watched it live
Incredible.
on network for just $9.99.
Nice plug.
Stupid note cards these days too. I hate those.
I know.
Yeah, not a lot of like moments in WWE give me goosebumps, but like that pay-per-view gave me like 4 different times that I had goosebumps, and I wasn't even there, so I will have to go.
It was incredible.
Just
the feel of it. Yeah. It felt like a big show.
Like when Enzo.
Well, that was from the tapings, but for the following week. But yeah, that was huge reaction for Enzo and Big Cass.
Yeah.
So good choice. Mike, what's your pick for pay-per-view of the year? Because there were a lot of good ones.
Well, yes, there was. I mean, it was a lot. It was hard for me to decide on this one, too, especially, you know, since, you know, I hadn't watched a lot of NXT, and mostly the main roster.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I thought about, you know, for most of the roster, the ones on the main roster, there was, like, you know, segments that stood out there here and there that I remember, like, matches that I like, but I think I have to agree with you guys, too. Like, you know, just being at NXT TakeOver in Brooklyn, you know, and going to SummerSlam. SummerSlam, I mean...
It was a C show.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay wrestling-wise, but there was no story development.
It was too long.
And it was,
4 hours.
Exactly. It wasn't needed to be that long either.
No,
but you just felt the difference, though, like, you know, for being at Brooklyn. Even though, like, you know, we only got to see an hour of the show because of the stupid bus running late. But I could see the whole difference, and just the energy, just... It was just a lot more exciting, and that was
the crowd was hot that night. SummerSlam, the crowd was dead at times.
It was, yeah.
So
I mean, I'm gonna have to agree and go
Clean sweep.
clean sweep on NXT Brooklyn.
Nice. Good pick. Good pick. Now we're going to go to category number 6. This is our pick for worst pay-per-view of the year. Yes, even though there have been some good pay-per-views, there were also some not so good pay-per-views. And in my opinion, the one that is still fresh in my mind that only took place, I think is it a month? Roughly 1 month ago to the day. It was Survivor Series 2015. Now, actually, the hype going into the show, I was actually looking forward to it. You know, we had the tag team match with the Brothers of Destruction versus the Wyatt family. Then you had the tournament for the WWE World Heavyweight title. But in my opinion, the crowd, it was dead the whole night. And the Paige Charlotte match wasn't that good. And the title, it was just a bad show. And then with Sheamus cashing in at the end on Roman Reigns, I felt like that was a terrible ending. So frustrated at the end of that. And I mean, to me, it came down between this show or the Royal Rumble 2015. But at least the Royal Rumble had that amazing triple threat match. So in my opinion, that's what swayed me to pick this show, because there was only the Del Rio Reigns match was okay. Owens Ambrose was good. Everything else just not memorable, and a very bad Survivor Series. One of the worst pay-per-views I've seen in a long time. So that's my pick, Survivor Series 2015. Josh, what did you pick?
I picked one of the most predictable shows of the year, and I think you know where I'm going with this. The Royal Rumble.
Good choice, because that was also a very bad show.
It was just almost every single match you knew who was going to win before the bell even rang.
I don't even remember half the card.
Exactly. So, you knew as soon as the bell rang for the Royal Rumble.
It was a 2-match show.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Rumble match would have delivered, the show would have been great.
Yeah.
But if that's the draw,
that has to hit. Like,
the title match delivered, but we were really hoping for that Royal Rumble to deliver, and
you knew Roman was going to win from the moment the bell rang.
And I said this to somebody recently. I said if it would have came down, I would have been fine with it. The final two, it should have been Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. Okay, you have Reigns throw him out, and then have him shake hands. But they didn't do that. They thought, we'll dump Bryan out like he's a loser.
Wasn't he eliminated
It just
early.
bumped him off the top rope. 10 minutes in.
Yeah, he was like...
Remember the crowd. Remember they wanted him. I mean,
right.
You cannot... Come on.
They were on pick number 18 whenever he got eliminated, and everyone was just like, what?
They treated him like trash that night.
They treated all these fan favorites
Ambrose,
like trash.
Ziggler.
They just had this big show and Kane just talking about it and just just throwing out the trash.
And then you brought The Rock out to try and neutralize Reigns' heat. So this shows you that if you knew Reigns was going to get booed this bad, it's just like the way that whoever structured that match should have been fired.
Right.
That, in my opinion, was the worst Royal Rumble match I've ever seen.
And then just bring back The Rock, just kiss up and say, "Hey, look, The Rock's here." Like, we don't care.
We're endorsing
right now.
Reigns, and you saw the reaction of The Rock. He was like, "That's not supposed to happen. Why are you booing?"
Right.
So good. That's a good pick. It's a good pick, Josh. What's your pick, Mike?
I was also between the Royal Rumble and the and Survivor Series myself, but
both bad.
I had to agree with what you said because of that triple threat match.
That saved it.
That put the Royal Rumble a little higher on my standards. So I'm picking Survivor Series too. Like you said, it could the build up could have been better.
Yes.
And then
with Rollins going down, they rushed, they scrambled.
Right, and then the build was even better than the build for Hell in a Cell, and Hell in a Cell was better than
Hell in a Cell was a good paper.
Yeah, it was good, but then I think the thing that disappointed me most was first the tag team match between the Brothers of Destruction and the Wyatts.
Should have been a Survivor. They had those Survivor Series elimination matches that were terrible.
That
should have been the Survivor Series elimination match. The Wyatts and the Remember we talked about this.
That and the fact also it was only like a 10-minute match, and they made like a 25-year
anniversary.
They're celebrating that, and they just give them like a 10-minute match,
and Wyatt's lost.
and then just throw it out, and then do nothing with the Wyatts.
They're losers,
right? And the fact also again, I felt the fact that it should have been
the best jobbers.
Right.
That's a shame because they're talented and they could make them into something big if they would win their big match. It just pisses me off.
Right. But everything was just so rushed in that show. I mean, the main event, though, Ambrose and Reigns.
That could have been incredible.
That could have been, exactly.
7 minutes.
Yeah, that was just a waste of time. And also to add on to the Brothers of Destruction match, that probably, I think, instead of Harper and Wyatt, I think it should have been Strowman and Wyatt, I think. That's who I think should have wrestled instead.
So, yeah, good pick. I agree with Josh's pick.
Yeah, me too, definitely.
So, yeah. We're going to go to the next category. Category number 7, Brand of the Year. I think this is fairly obvious. For me, there was no better brand this year, no more consistent show that I enjoy watching for 1 hour every Wednesday night than NXT. I don't even think I have to say anything. If you watch NXT, you know it's awesome every single week. So that's my pick, NXT. Josh, what's your pick for brand of the year?
I'm going to have to go SmackDown. No, come on.
Yeah, okay.
It's an obvious pick. It's NXT. It
Fair enough.
just delivers every single week.
Good answer.
Again, I don't watch as much of it, but I have to go to NXT. Also, I take your word for
You know
it.
how my reviews, I'm like, it's just a fun sit through 1 hour. It's not 3. It doesn't drag.
Exactly, and the few things I've seen from NXT, it's like, what's wrong when you see NXT? Like, the huge difference, you know what I mean?
There's definitely a difference in who's running the show, and I think we all know why.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Fair enough, we're all in agreement. NXT is our brand of the year. Now, here's a big one. Number 8, we're going to do our match of the year. There were many great matches on both the main roster and NXT. But my pick for match of the year, I'm going with that triple threat WWE title match at the Royal Rumble 2015. John Cena versus Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. What an incredible match from start to finish. Just the way they told a story in the ring, and with, Brock, getting laid out through the table, and then it was down to Rollins and Cena, and then Brock comes back in. Crowd was into it. It was just, one of the best triple threat matches that I've seen in a long, long time.
It was also like, I think the match also, was like the turning point for Seth Rollins trying to get back into the title.
He was a standout in that match. I think if it was Cena and Lesnar again, I wasn't looking forward to seeing another match between those two. We've seen them fight multiple times. I think adding Rollins in there added a new dynamic. And yeah, like you said, I really thought Rollins was a standout in that match. So that is my pick for match of the year. Josh, what's your pick for match of the year?
Well, I was stuck between two matches because I couldn't pick one of them.
Right.
Well, one is a women's match.
Mm-hmm.
It was Sasha versus Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. And then the other one is Roman versus Brock at WrestleMania.
Well, actually, we're going to be doing the women's match of the year next. So if you want to save that for your next pick, and then you want to do Reigns and Lesnar.
I'll do.
Very good
Reigns
match
because it was hard hitting. Like you made it. They
felt real.
They made it. They were actually hitting each other.
Remember blood? Remember Lesnar hitting the post?
Yeah, suplex city bitch.
I remember that. Going in, I didn't have high expectations, but the match blew me away.
And then we were just like, I think Roman, I think Brock, I think Roman, I think Brock, and then Stooge was the only one to say Seth, but then we were like, nah, it's not gonna happen in WrestleMania. It never happened before. And then Seth came out, and then stole the show, and.
Incredible mark out on the biggest. We were all shocked. I wish we did live reaction.
Right, the biggest
crazy
pay-per-view of the year.
You'll never forget it, will you?
It's a WrestleMania moment, so I'm gonna go with
great main event to a really good WrestleMania.
It made a huge difference because the build-up wasn't really
terrible build
that great, especially the last segment they had on Raw the week before. That was stupid.
One of the worst go-home Raws.
Right. I mean,
segments.
It was going to be a deadly match, but the build-up was not there, and Seth Rollins winning the title to win.
Wow, you didn't. The best. You thought it might happen, but you didn't know if they'd go that way.
Right.
It definitely was a great moment. So that's a good pick, Josh. Mike, what's your pick for match of the year?
I actually picked one that I'm surprised has not really been brought up yet, but I picked Lesnar and Taker at Hell in a Cell. I do agree with the Slammies. I think that was the match meant to happen. The Undertaker and Lesnar feuding in the end of summer, was definitely a huge surprise. I wasn't expecting that. And definitely just throw these guys into a big steel cage.
That's what it is essentially.
Right. But I think that was the perfect way to try finish up a feud like that. Have the Undertaker.
Hell in a Cell should be.
And have these guys literally just beat the crap out of each other. Tear up the ring. Blood. Tombstone each other onto the floor. It was
brutal. It was tough to watch, but it was an incredible match.
I think if that match though did not turn out as good as it did, I think Hell in a Cell would not have been as good if that didn't pull that off.
You're expecting
properly.
That match to deliver. But that's a really good pick. All of these picks are good picks for our match of the year. So with that, we're going to go to category number 9, the women's match of the year. Now, there were a lot of good women's matches, mainly from the NXT women's division. And in my opinion, you probably can guess it. For me, there was no better match for the women this year than Sasha Banks versus Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. That was an incredible match from start to finish. The story of Bayley just trying to overcome the odds with the crowd. We were behind Bayley. We were behind Sasha, too. there were just some sick bumps in that match. You know, Sasha looked like she hurt her neck at one point, and I just get goosebumps thinking about it because I've never seen for a match for the women, let alone of how invested the crowd was into it, and it was the co-main event. They stole the show, you know, stole the whole SummerSlam weekend in my opinion. So I'm giving credit to Bayley and Sasha Banks. They deserve it for women's match of the year. Josh, what's your pick?
Well, I agree with you, Dan. And for those of you who haven't seen it, you can just get it on the WWE Network for just
$9.99.
That's my pick.
Good pick, Mike.
And I will make it a three-way. Saying
Clean sweep.
Yep. You know there was. You know you watch on the main roster. Like, sometimes it just didn't look like anything. At that time, there was like not too many women on the main roster who I thought could wrestle, and seeing other women wrestle and seeing them put 15, 20 minutes on for an actual women's wrestling match, it was just a big deal to me, and it was just a huge difference. And I'm like,
compared to what you're seeing on the main roster,
exactly,
right? And
yes.
It would be nice if we could get that on the main roster.
No doubt about it. I don't think
Still waiting for it.
You know, that's crazy if you think about it, because they do including like dark shows and everything. They have thousands of matches a year, and that one that sticks out, that's just really impressive.
It was tough because they had that really awesome Iron Woman's match that main evented NXT TakeOver Respect. That was also, it was a tough pick. It was either that one or this one, and Charlotte versus or Becky versus Sasha was also really good. There were just a ton of really great. Asuka versus Emma, that was another great match. Bayley versus Nia Jax. A ton of great matches this year for the women, mainly on NXT. I mean, there were some good main roster Divas matches. Trying to think, none that really come to my head right now, but they're not really given the same opportunities as the women on NXT. But we are all in agreement for our women's match of the year. Going on to category number 10, folks. This is our pick for worst match of the year. And in my opinion, there was no worse disappointing match than the 2015 Royal Rumble match. I think we can all agree. We were looking forward to the Royal Rumble. I mean, you had guys like Roman Reigns, you had Daniel Bryan, Dean Ambrose, Dolph Ziggler. I'm trying to think who else. There were viable options to win that match. And just the way the whole Rumble match was laid out, Bray Wyatt, it was another one. I felt like it was a missed opportunity, and I felt like when Daniel Bryan got in there and started tearing shit up, and the crowd was going yes, 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 and they really wanted to see him win, and how they just threw him out like a piece of crap. It's not a way you treat a guy like Bryan. I mean, he earned his right to be a main eventer, and he should at least went to the final two. And with just Reigns winning and the crowd booing unmercifully, and Big Show and Kane eliminating guys left and right, just a poorly structured match, and one of the worst Royal Rumble matches I've ever seen. So, Josh, what's your pick?
Well, I agree with you, Dan. Royal Rumble is actually one of my favorite matches.
You look forward to it
it's fun.
The surprises, the countdown, the who's gonna win,
the comebacks of legends, and you look forward to.
We got a couple.
Yeah,
DDP.
You look forward to that, even if it is DDP. It's cool to see them come back. You look forward.
There's no Orton there either. He should have been there. Remember, we were like,
yep.
Oh, Randy Orton's gonna return. He didn't return.
Nope,
Sheamus didn't.
I look forward to it all year, and then you give me that. It's just it was a waste of getting your hopes up for that match. And that's my word.
It's that's how you kick off your road to WrestleMania.
Yep, unless they were trying to knock each other out easily because of the weather that night, because the weather was terrible that night.
It was.
But yes, I also did pick the Royal Rumble also.
Clean sweep again.
Yep, it's just it was just too focused on Roman Reigns. I felt that's all it cared about.
And the way they built him up was terrible.
Exactly.
Jack and the Beanstalk, suffering sucker. I mean, if they would have built him up as the silent badass that took no shit, I bet you he wouldn't have got that bad. That's on Vince and the booking.
Right.
That's not on Reigns. He was scripted to say that shit and feuding with Big Show right before. It's like they wanted him to get that reaction.
Exactly.
Come on.
And then all the other stars
terrible.
Too, there was no build. Everybody else just looked like complete crybabies after that, just throwing them out.
Big Show and Kane dominating.
If they would have at least maybe try build up little other feuds within the Rumble.
That's what they should do. That's what
I would have given them a little more credit, but they just Dolph Ziggler came. Okay, get out.
Tossed out Ambrose.
Exactly.
Tossed out.
How are you gonna have it come down to Reigns, Show, and Kane?
Rusev was in there too. Remember, the crowd was cheering Rusev. The Russian villain.
Right, exactly.
God,
what's his name?
It's terrible.
I can't think of his name.
Who?
I can't think of his name. Hulkamania Countdown.
Curtis Axel.
Axel.
They could have did
He was
something
never
with that.
eliminated.
He was
Yeah,
never
that
eliminated.
went nowhere. Miz and Mizdow, remember?
Oh,
Sam?
I wanted
Who's
Mizdow.
sitting in the back as we speak.
I forgot
and they
about
do,
Mizdow.
They've done Sandow. It's not his fault. They're doing nothing with him,
Right.
He had a huge reaction.
and we'll get to that category later. I know he did, but they probably didn't want him to get over. So you know what? We're all in agreement. The Royal Rumble 2015 was a terrible match. So we're gonna move on to our next category. Category number 11. Most Improved Wrestler of the Year. Now, this one's going to shock you, but my pick for Most Improved Wrestler of the Year is John Cena. I felt
Seriously?
yes, because I felt like with his U.S. when he won that Open title, the U.S. United States Championship from Rusev, and he had those weekly U.S. Open challenges on Raw. It was the highlight of what I was looking forward to watching. It was unpredictable. He had some great matches with guys like Dean Ambrose, a Stardust, a Barrett, a Neville, Sami Zayn, Cesaro twice, Owens, Rollins. I mean, just look at the Cena's body of work this year. He had some Ziggler. He had some really good matches this year. I feel like this was the best I've seen Cena as a wrestler in as long as I've been watching. Like, just the way his matches have been and how he helped bring prestige back to the U.S. title. Felt like there was nobody that improved more than John Cena. So that's my pick. Josh, who do you got?
I was really shocked.
Thank you.
Like, even though he doesn't capitalize, he capitalizes, but like it gets taken away from him on title matches. I still love the guy. Roman Reigns is my Most Improved Wrestler of the Year.
Roman Reigns? Okay. He has improved, as we get to the end of the year. I hope he keeps...
His mic work has gotten a lot better.
If they give him a lot less to say.
I think it's gotten better.
But that's a good pick. Mike, who's your pick for Most Improved?
Well, this actually was very tough because I was trying to think, compared to last year, like, who really has improved like that, like, drastically? And I actually had to pick a group of three guys, the New Day, because
I agree.
I
Good
think,
pick.
well, Biggie, I felt, he's like their powerhouse, no doubt about it.
He's great.
He's going to be a WWE champion
Hopefully.
someday. And Xavier Woods, before
Good
he
talker.
teamed up with them, he was nothing. He was just
was a joke.
He was just R-Truth's
They made him a
buddy.
joke.
And then they made him into a top annoying heel, but
Good.
he's an excellent annoying
He's a
heel.
great talker.
And then the Kofi also, like, from what I
Great
believe,
athlete.
Kofi's never been a heel. Has he never been a heel? And that was like a little
He's
bit
having fun out there.
right. And that was a little bit of a challenge. And I think those were like that team alone. I think just a
They
big
make it work every
improvement.
week.
And like they're like the next the biggest top stable in the company right
So
now.
you look at when they debuted on SmackDown, it was just like nobody gave a shit. I thought it was going to be a joke. They weren't going to go anywhere. But yeah, they've really been on a roll ever
Exactly.
since. I'm glad it worked out for them because I love all three of them and I want to see them succeed. So good picks all around. We're going to go to category number 12, folks. This is our pick for Least Improved Wrestler of the Year. My opinion, I felt like this guy, I felt like he was coming back. He did a heel turn. He had a new look. I felt like he was really going to fire on all cylinders, but I'm really disappointed with his run, and that is Sheamus. It just felt like he needed a heel turn, and I was happy to see him have it, but just the way he's been booked and his feuds have been unmemorable, and his promos have been blah, and he's just not been an effective heel. And as champion, as Mr. Money in the Bank, you almost forgot he was Mr. Money in the Bank, and his run as champion was awful to say the least. So my pick is Sheamus. He's been in this business long enough. I feel like he should know how to take the material and use it to his advantage. So that's my pick for Least Improved Wrestler of the Year. Who's your pick, Josh?
I picked Tyler Breeze because I watched a lot of NXT and I thought he was really awesome.
He was.
And I feel like he's just getting dragged with, I don't want to say dragged with Dolph because Dolph is sort of
like a Fandango.
yes, I feel like Summer is a cancer, to be honest.
Whoever she's paired with, Rusev. Yeah.
Yeah, so Tyler Breeze is my least improved wrestler of the year.
Yeah, he's actually degressed when he
Pretty much.
when he got up to the main roster. Okay. Okay. Mike, who's your pick?
Well, actually, I based this off more who do I think got buried this year, out of everybody, and I'm actually going with Rusev. Because, at the beginning of the year...
He's regressed. Yep.
Right, because U.S. champion, undefeated.
On a roll. Had heat. He had heat.
I think Yeah, I saw it, Josh.
And
I
then-
think by next year or something, he should be someone in the front row to either be the top heel
He
or the
could
Money
be.
in the Bank winner.
Now,
but after that feud,
he's another guy now.
After that feud with Cena, that fourth match at Payback was not even qualified because you knew that he was going to say Cena was not going to say I quit.
No.
And after that, he hurt his ankle. They split him and Lana up, which was okay at first, but then it just
that feud.
and
just
then, of
train
course,
wreck.
the whole thing with, their whole Lana and Rusev's engagement got leaked on the internet, and
Vince got pissed.
now he's
Back
stuck in the
together.
League of Nations, and it's...
Poor guy.
That's not going there.
He
So,
was on a roll.
He was just he's now a broken man, in my opinion.
Well, the 50-50 booking where they have him win 1 week, lose another, that's tremendously hurting a lot of the roster, and I feel like Rusev has... he was winning, and that made him
Exactly.
dominant. And look what happens when a guy gets on a win streak week after week, and then it just makes you want to see him, lose eventually. So
Right, now he's just a mid-card joke again.
he is, and that's a shame because I felt like he has potential to be future world champion. So that's a good pick.
Exactly.
Good picks all around. Once again, we're going into category number 13, folks. This is our pick for best segment of the year. Now, in my opinion, there has been no greater segment than it was on the Raw after WrestleMania 31 on March 30th when Brock Lesnar, he was going to face Seth Rollins for the title, and Rollins weaseled out, and then Brock went apeshit. He destroyed everything in his path. Rollins ran away, just flipped the announce table over, picked up Michael Cole, gave him an F5, and then picked up a cameraman, gave him an F5. It was an amazing moment from an amazing Monday Night Raw, and it's a moment that I'll never forget. Brock Lesnar going apeshit. That's my pick for segment of the year. Josh?
I sort of agree with you. It's just like any time Paul Heyman's out there, it's my favorite segment.
Without a doubt.
I'm a Paul Heyman guy.
He's the master of the mic.
He is.
So anytime Paul Heyman is out there, I think it's segment of the year.
So any segment with Paul Heyman, because it's tough to pick one.
Exactly. You can't just pick one.
He's amazing. Best talker in the business. By far. So, good pick. Mike, segment of the year.
Well, I originally at first was going to pick Rock and Rousey versus The Authority, but
That was a great segment.
But unfortunately, the reason why I'm not going with that is because it doesn't sound like they're going to go anywhere with it.
That's a shame.
I
Yeah,
mean-
Ronda's going to be filming. Somebody.
Right.
Rock's going to be filming. Yeah.
My favorite segment, I think, of the year was definitely, though, going back to Taker and Lesnar, their brawl the night after
Ooh,
Battleground.
Really
That
good.
was
brawl. Epic.
That was brutal. It just
You're
showed
gonna have
that
to kill me.
Shit went down.
Right, exactly.
Who can hold these two
The
guys
right-
apart?
the
you
right
know?
words came out of their mouths. The right guys were just going at it
Punches,
and getting them out
bombs.
of it. It was worth the whole 15 minutes or
Felt
whatever,
real.
whatever it was.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's like, I'll kill you. You're gonna have to. I just love that. That was cool.
That's what their feud going into 30 should have been, but that build-up was atrocious. So that segment made up for it completely. That's a great
Exactly.
pick. Love that brawl. So all around, once again, good picks from me and these guys. We're going on to category number 14, folks. This is our pick for worst segment of the year. And it just recently happened, in my opinion, one of the worst segments of the year was on Raw on December 7th. A day that will live in infamy. It was Reigns and Sheamus in the main event slot and their Tater Tots promo. That Tater Tots promo was one of the worst go-home segments I've ever seen. It dragged, and it dragged, and it dragged, and it dragged. And it seemed like it was going to end, and then it kept dragging. And they finally started fighting, but when you got through all that long-winded talking about climbing the ladder, which is bullshit, because he debuted in the Shield, and remember the Shield was unstoppable and dominant, climbing the ladder my ass. And then it's like, oh, you want to get in, Sheamus? Reigns said. And he's like, no, you got to remove the what? The ladder. He's like, oh, you got to take the thing. It's like they dragged it on too long. And then when they finally fought, who gave a shit? And people were walking out. So that terrible go-home, a go-home segment for your pay-per-view. One of the worst I've ever seen. That's my pick for worst segment of the year. Josh, what's yours?
My worst segment of the year is the tug of war between Brock and Roman. That should be one of the top, segments of the year. It's your go home show to
biggest pay-per-view of the year.
It's your go home segment to WrestleMania.
You're gonna get some last-minute buys, possible.
But you make it the worst of the year.
Start off good. You had Brock and Heyman. They were talking. Then Reigns comes down.
At least have them brawl.
Yes.
Not like,
Right.
mine. Like,
Oh, I mean, and that's how you go off the air. I was pissed that night. I'm sure you guys were pissed
I
as
was
well.
like, are you serious?
I was like,
Right.
and that just didn't help the hype going into Mania. And then, of course, it all blew us out of the water with how good the show was. But that's a good pick. Mike, what's your pick?
Yeah.
'Cause there were some bad segments.
I actually just thinking about this, thinking, worst segments are meant to be just forgotten about, and I forgot most of them. I actually, until we all gathered here today, I actually completely forgot about the whole tug of war thing. But I originally did put down the tater tot one because I mean you're right.
So fresh in our
tater
minds.
tot was definitely mentioned too many times.
Okay,
Once I think then. Boom! Go to the fight right there. I mean, that spear at the end of it, though. I love that spear.
But it's the way they got.
It was.
Who gives a
it was
shit?
not exactly how the feeling is. It was not built up at all. Then just like okay, guys, I know
For your
they stopped at the mic.
championship.
Take a spear. It's just like okay, yeah. Who cares now?
Where's the League of Nations? Shouldn't they have come out to
right?
say Sheamus?
Exactly, because that whole League of Nations thing. They're just like in their own world. It's like they're two separate different people.
I know.
For each one of them,
It is. League of Nations is a joke. It's been a joke since day one, but that's a very good pick. A lot of bad segments this year, and hopefully 2016 is better in that department. We're going on category number 15. This is our pick for best storyline of the year, and there were some good. I wish there were more storylines that were amazing this year, but in my opinion, there was none better than it was on NXT. It was Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. What an incredible story that these guys told. When Kevin Owens debuted, he was clapping for Sami, winning the title, and then he hit him with that, pop-up powerbomb on the ring apron, and from there, their feud commenced, and they had some tremendous battles against each other. Zayn losing his title to Owens, and then that rematch against him, and where after that, Sami Zayn got hurt. It was just a really personal story. These guys have faced each other before on the independent scene, and they were really good friends, and it felt legit. And you felt for Sami, and Owens was just an unstoppable, dominant badass. He didn't give a shit. He's doing this for his family. And these guys just had tremendous matches, different types of matches, and definitely my pick for feud of the year. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Tremendous. Josh, what's your pick?
It's funny because that's actually what I put down too.
Wow.
Like
From
I like
Zayn winning that title, tremendous moment.
Yeah. And
wow.
It's cool how they've been friends for years. And
It's way back.
It was really you felt like it was real. It was
these
really
guys,
personal,
they know each
really
other.
in depth.
And when Owens turned,
And I can't wait to. Doesn't he return tonight?
Sami Zayn returns tonight as we are taping this as of 3:09 on December 23rd. Yes. So yes, tonight.
I'm gonna check that out after I go see Star Wars.
Okay, so that's your pick for feud of the year or storyline of the year. Excuse me, your pick for storyline of the year.
I mean, I would have loved to see more of that feud between Zayn and Owens, and I probably would have looked into it more. I think I probably would have picked that. But of course, to me, being more focused on the main roster, I picked Taker and Lesnar. I mean, there was no feud more exciting than them. Just
none that I can even
guys
think of.
Beating the crap out of each other, trying to defend a legacy he left
Taker
at WrestleMania.
Brock just being Brock.
I was gonna say going into which.
I was 30. Wait, this year?
I'm talking about which
SummerSlam.
You guys talking about going in SummerSlam, going in.
Oh, the whole feud.
Altogether, the whole feud.
This year, not 30.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, the match was good for 30, but like you said, the build-up wasn't too good for it. But, I mean, I wish they could have had a little bit of a better match at SummerSlam. I mean, it looked you hang
that
a
finish?
little bit. Yeah, the finish killed it a little bit. I mean, the match was brutal.
It was tremendous.
And then just to finish it back up with, of course, finishing with Josh did
middle
finger. The finger. That's they can't be afraid to do stuff like that on a show. Yes. There's kids watching, but you know what? It's not meant to be a media
adults
kids
there
show.
too. Yeah, it really isn't.
Right.
I mean, it's guys fighting, guys and girls fighting. Come on, but that's a good pick. Like I said, all around good picks. Once again, we're going into our final two categories, folks. Category number 16, pick for worst storyline of the year. There were a lot of bad ones this year. Lots of bad ones. This the product overall. This has been a really disappointing year for the main roster. It's just like you see all these feuds, some that have potential, and then WWE fails to deliver with quality writing and development. They just don't seem to be able to build feuds over long periods of time. It's because they're hot-shotting stuff left and right, booking week to week, and I feel like that hurts the overall flow of where these stories are going on a week-to-week basis. There should be long-term planning. Where are we going with this guy? Okay, they're going to feud for how long? Nah, and the 50-50 booking hurts feuds, Ziggler wins one week, Breeze wins the next. Trading wins, it's terrible. So, but all of that aside, my pick for worst storyline of the year was Roman Reigns versus The Big Show. Nobody benefited from this feud. Made Reigns look worse coming out of it. I mean, that's how you build him up going into Royal Rumble, feuding with The Big Show. Whoopee. And just terrible promos, They did have a really good match at Extreme Rules. Mm-hmm. But other than that, every other time I've seen these guys, fighting, feuding, it just does nothing for me. So that feud is, in my opinion, is the worst feud of 2015 by far. Josh, what's your pick for worst storyline of the year?
I originally had that, but I changed my mind at the very last second. And it's not like a big, feud. Well, I mean, sort of. But I'm just going to go, it doesn't make sense. Cesaro and Swagger. It's just...
That wasn't this year.
That was 2014.
No, it's this year. No, wait, yeah.
Swagger and Del Rio?
Del Rio, that's what I meant.
There you go.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Del
Rio
that's a good
Swagger.
Who gives a shit? Yeah, that's all I can say. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I like
It doesn't make sense. He's like...
The Mexican... Oh, that was terrible. And look how well that went. Yeah, that was a fairly recent feud that came to an end. Thank God. But, do we really need to do that feud? It was terrible in 2013. Yeah, 2013.
It just didn't make sense because he's...
They go from World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania to the U.S. title. It's just like Swagger. He's been off TV for how long? And it's a shame. That prestige that Cena brought back to the U.S. title, I felt like was flushed down the toilet now.
Mm-hmm. This way he also lost at Hell in a Cell, too. It's like, it's made it look
okay, you give it to Del Rio. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I thought that was that match could have been better also.
Agreed. Mike, what's your pick for worst storyline?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the mid-card, feuds, of course, most of them you don't expect to be good at all. But
no.
But of course, I have to agree with you with Reigns and Big Show. You're trying to build up a top star Reigns at that time. And you have him wrestle the world's biggest crybaby, pretty much.
Who was in a New Year's diaper, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Remember that?
And he's always crying about losing his job and being broke. If you want to make the guy, a great heel, make him look dangerous and not crying over every little segment. Or, every time he fell out of the ring.
Heel to face to heel. Who gives a shit?
Every time he falls, he hold his elbow tight. I hurt my elbow and all this stuff. He's always crying. It's like, this is a big, strong guy,
He should be booked more dominant, and he's probably overexposed too much on television. You see him every week, so he's not special.
He is. He just should never have been, one of the top heels of the company. A mid-card heel, okay. But
you have a wealth of talent that are hungry down in NXT and, guys on the main roster. Why don't you build one of them up?
Exactly.
That would require effort. So.
Right. That whole feud, I think, that definitely just hurt Roman Reigns. And, that's...
Why you got that
all
reaction?
The constant matches on
Cena over
and of course that was the rumored main event at first for Fastlane. I think.
Yeah, last man or something.
I mean, and finally it's like, okay, you're happy Reigns did win the title. Let's just have this dumb match now in Extreme Rules, which, as you said, turned out
it was a good match,
better than I thought it would be.
Really better match. But other than that match, the rest of every time they fight, it's just forgettable. Completely forgettable.
Bathroom break, pretty much.
So, yeah, it is a bathroom break. So, yeah, good picks for worst storyline of the year. We're going to go on to our final category. Category number 17, folks. This is our pick for Underutilized Wrestler of the Year. And my pick for this is a guy's not even on TV anymore. That is Damien Sandow. I felt like going into 2015, the Mizdow stuff was working. Him and Miz, they were tag team champs, and then they lost the titles, and we're thinking, okay, here we go. We're going to go into Royal Rumble, and they're going to do the split there. Didn't do the split there. Okay, breakup, whatever. And then they finally break them up, and then they blow off their match on Raw, nonetheless. And it's like, and they kept fighting on Raw week after week, and Sandow lost. And then they changed him back to Damien Sandow. Remember, he gave that really heartfelt promo on Raw. I felt like if they would have went that route, the crowd was connecting with him. They were into him. And then what happened? He turned into Macho Mandow, and now he's off TV. And it's a shame because, he's talented, and, they need guys. And with all these injuries, why aren't they doing more with him? I don't get it. So Damien Sandow is the most underutilized wrestler of the year for me. Josh?
Well, It's not exactly his fault because his partner got injured, but I think underutilized, I'll go Cesaro.
Cesaro?
He's extremely talented, but like
Tremendously.
But it's not his fault that
he's Swiss. Remember, he doesn't connect?
Yeah.
Bullshit, because the crowd wants him. They're cheering for him. They're popping for him. Cesaro section signs.
Yeah,
it's not his fault.
But
if Vince doesn't like him, here's the thing. Because I mentioned this to somebody previously. That's all right. Don't go on the podcast and say, oh, he has talent. Maybe Vince doesn't like him. Just come out and say it. That might be why he doesn't get a push. Because Vince doesn't like him. I mean, why else? Come on. Just doesn't. It's a good pick. And I hope when he comes back, he's
better than ever.
Wins that world title. He deserves it. Mike, who's your pick?
Both picks were definitely, from people who won. Well, one should have won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but didn't. And of course, Cesaro got one, but didn't get the push. But I actually am going to have to go with Sandow because at the beginning of the year, he had everyone on his back. Everybody loved him. And, yes, I was glad that they took the Mizdow gimmick off and they tried to make him Sandow again.
The split, we wanted to see it.
Make it his own. Prove the Miz that he can succeed without him.
Miz kept berating him.
And then they do Macho Mandow on him, and I'm thinking, no. Make him be him. And like you said, he's not on TV anymore.
I know. I don't get why. Guess he must have pissed somebody off. But
yeah, exactly.
This company... Oh, don't even get me started.
Especially after he lost when he cashed in on Cena for the world title.
It was downhill for him.
Yeah.
He went through a lot of shit. He made it work.
I wasn't laughing at all. I won one of those dumb
bad
segments.
For the guy.
Oh, me too, definitely.
That's what they booked him to do. I agree. I mean, it just pisses me off thinking about all these, there's a lot of underutilized talent, and let's hope as we head into the new year that 2016 is a whole hell of a lot better, at least for the main roster, because this has been a really bad year, in my opinion. For just the consistent quality of Raw and SmackDown, it's just an all-time low. I mean, there have been times I don't even want to watch Raw, because it's just so monotonous and boring. So we can only hope, going into the new year, that they get their act together and put on a consistently good show each and every week for your fans. Because they proved to me that they can do it. They can if they try. So, yeah, those are our picks for the first annual WWE Year in Review Awards video. Thank you all for listening to this very long video. Hope you were able to stay throughout the entire video. Appreciate you all listening. I would just like to say, please click that like and subscribe button for more video content coming to this channel soon. And I would just like to say, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all my subscribers. And with that, we are out. Peace.